Okay.
And salmon.
We are about to begin. Absolutely. Yeah, why would it be all about describe any space that any space that you like? Your body
Being dramatic.
Like you said, be
Right.
head tapu, head tapu, head tapu, head tapu, head tapu.
Head tapu.
How's everyone doing?
Wonderful.
It's wonderful to hear laughter
Yeah.
in the house of Ma'ad and people getting to know each other and talking about things that they've done with each other since the last initiation, since the last Sebkhet, because clearly you're going to create relationships here with people who are going to assist you on your journey. I keep saying it because it is going to allow you to remain in power, allow you to be able to draw on people who understand what the heck you're talking about. And when you're able to do that, then you're able to have others join you. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
I have constantly said that allowing yourself to be resplendent, allowing yourself to glow like the sun, gives other people permission to do that as well. You have the opportunity to do this because you knew someone. There are people there who hear the echo who don't know anyone. We get folks that are part of partake in Kemetic Ascension online. I work bi-weekly service. And often when you look at the comments, if you look at our web page today and you look at the comments, someone will say, I'm out in X.
Yeah.
There's no one like me here.
Oh yeah.
That's what they say.
Yeah, I noticed that Sunday when
Yes.
I chimed in on Sunday, I was like, oh man, we read these comments.
That's
And I'm
right.
like, wow, we can just get to them.
So there is so they're like, there's no one here like you, like me, like us, where I am. Now sometimes that's not true. Sometimes that's right. Sometimes saying that says, oh wait, I'm only 10 minutes from you. Oh wait, I'm in the next state. Oh wait, I come to your area regularly. So sometimes that's not the case. And allowing yourself to partake in groups, particularly online, allows you to galvanize with these groups offline. There are 3 brothers who are looking to, unfortunately, they wanted to join your ranks after Sebkhet 4, and we said, no, you've missed too much to join this time. But there were 3 brothers, they said, we meet together, we pray together, and honestly, we have no idea what we're saying. No idea what we're saying. We have no guidance, we have no idea what we're doing. All we know is that we're following the ways of ancient Kemetic. We need help to understand what that really means. And so what happens is one brother started saying something, another one said, I always wanted to do that, but there's no one around here. And he said, well, there are 2 of us. Now, 3rd brother said, what are y'all talking about? I'm with you now too. So now they're saying, not just that they want to be initiated. I showed this to Anika, and Anika kind of was silent. I was like, did you see what I showed you? She said, yeah, I did. You didn't make any comments? Yeah, I know. Because they've said that they want to be initiated so they can create a shrine of Ma'at where they are. So that actually means that they're not just looking to engage online, they want to make it live where they are. Now, those of you in this room may be that individual who will take it as your charge to guide them. That is what will happen. So understand that that is coming as well. There are groups of people, maybe they live where your family lives somewhere, or maybe they're, you know someone in that area, or you're from that area, and it may make sense for you to assist that group in their development. But that's something that will occur. And as that occurs, we will be able to create critical mass. We'll get to a point where someone will see you and they'll understand what tradition you are part of. And that is something that will be sacred. It is very rare that people look at me and they don't have questions. But there are some times, I was rushing to go to Boston. I'll talk about Boston in a second. Rushing to go to Boston to do our tour of the Boston Museum of Fine Arts. And I'm literally rushing to catch the bus. And someone grabs me and says, Hetepu. Never seen him before. He had an ankh. Don't know his story. I get on the bus, I'm looking at him through the window, he's looking at me, he gets to the bus, stops the bus driver, throws me a number and a balled up piece of paper. Here, let's connect.
Wow.
That is really how you end up connecting. But there should be a point where there's critical mass, where you go outside, you meet people who are in your tradition, and they understand you and you understand them. We're not at that point yet. We're not at that point yet. So hopefully that will occur. We have shrines that are popping up in other places, shrines that are older, shrines that are being rededicated. That it's happening. So that's what we're attempting to move towards. So let's talk about, before we get into tonight, and in tonight's Sebkhet, we're going to talk about symbol. And then hopefully, I'm going to try not to have you here late tonight, because last week I felt bad I had you guys here so late. So we're going to try to be very brief tonight to sort of forgive myself for last week when you were here forever. But what we'd like to do is we'd like to begin by talking about your homework. Some of you did the homework. Who sent their emails? Not that I don't know who you are. But so someone tell me about what that experience was like. Who wants to talk about what they sent and why? Brother Moye?
One of the things that I got is not so much about what I sent, but it's that it gave me a different perspective of the initiates that were in our group and what they're doing at home. And you know, this is where everyone is in their, you know, in their own personal journey. And you know, some people, I like when I see things, I just had a different connection, you know, because we might not get to talk, you know, while we're here. And I saw certain things, and I was like, you know, yeah, that stuff really resonates with me, what they're doing. It made me feel good to see, especially when people were sharing their altars and they were talking about what they had to go through to get to that particular point. And it was, you know, it was really good. And which is one of the reasons I prefer to be here in the group, because there was one Sebkhet that I couldn't make it, and I tuned in, and I was sitting at home, and I was just chilling and watching everything. I was saying, hey, this is pretty cool. You know, I don't have to be in traffic, you know, driving back home. But then I was like, no, I'd rather be here because there's a connection that, you know,
right.
And it might be easier to you know, do it online. If I had to do it, I'm glad I had that option. But it's different being here and connecting with people, and especially as we go further and further, like how you were saying, you know, as you progress in this journey, there's going to be things like me and Clico. We've been like Facebook friends for a while. We took the same Kemetic class. We never knew each other.
Met in person, right?
Found out he lived right around the corner from me, and then we would see each other and we would talk. But since we've been here, it's been a whole different kind of relationship, you know, and it's really good because he helps me, I help him. It's like an intergenerational thing. You know, he says things to me, and it just makes me like, wow, I feel so proud that the younger generation, and he's not a kid, but he's a lot younger than me.
He looks a little bit younger than he is.
Yeah. But you know, it's like what he's doing and the kinds of scholarship and information and dedication and commitment, you know, it's like, to me, that really hits home, because as I've spoken with you a lot of times, you know, it bothers me that as a people, we keep repeating the same things over and over. That's right. You know, I'm a lot older than everyone here, but I was going through this stuff as a teenager in the 60s and in the 70s. You know, young people talking about being woke. I said, there was a lot of people who've been woke for a long time. They just don't know about it.
Got some different phrases for it.
The problem is, we didn't build institutions. We talked about nation building, but we didn't really do nation building. And a lot of those things is, you know, that solidifies the culture
That's right.
was never put in place.
That's
And so we
really
keep
what
every-
we have
every
to
so
be
many-
about.
Every so many years, we just go.
It
reinvent
dies
the
and
wheel.
it's reborn, and
Comes
it
back
dies
and
and it's
then
reborn.
dies.
That's
And-
right.
And when I talk to people like him and some of the other people, it gives me a lot of hope, because I'm thinking maybe this time it won't be like.
Maybe this time it won't die. That's right. That's right. Anika and I, as we started the Shrine of Mott, one of the reasons why we didn't start public sessions is because we said we wanted to actually be recognized as a nonprofit. And we started the paperwork for us to become a 501c3. We're trying to, as soon as that paperwork is done, then we'll develop a development arm. We'll have those, we're trying to create an institution that will exist regardless of whether the two of us are here. We're trying to create an institution that is not based solely around those individuals who started it. That's of critical importance. The Shrine of Ma'at is not Anika and Jabari Osaze. There'll be a point where we won't even be in our home. There'll be a point where something happened to us. We'll be, either we're ancestors or we're someplace else, and it can continue. That is what we're aiming for. And that is going to be a challenge, but there are lots of institutions that work that way. Why have we not been able to do that? Some of the largest institutions in our neighborhood are nonprofits. Some of the largest institutions in our society are started as religious-based nonprofits. Why have we not been able to do that yet? I think we need to challenge ourselves and say that we can create something that exists beyond personalities. That is a major challenge, but that is what we need to do. You will not see me take the title king. There are some, and I don't want this to sound like I'm speaking ill of the other high priests that are doing that, right? They're doing that because high priests in Kemet had the title king. The high priest in the land was the king. I am not a king. I will not take that title. I don't honestly think that any high priest should take that title. We are not, Kemet is not, we have not resurrected Kemet to the point where we actually control the levers of state. Can't send an army somewhere, can't feed people in a far-flung place, we cannot do that. So why are we calling ourselves that? I will not do that. So I think that what we have to do is we have to recognize that if we create institutions that allow people to actually heal themselves in their neighborhood, that is the goal. And pretending that we're something that we are when we're not doesn't allow us to reach further. It doesn't allow us to say, well, there's something more we have to do. The other thing that we haven't done here, I'm speaking because we're speaking to family here. The other thing that we haven't done yet is we haven't done divination. We do, Anika and I do divination, but we haven't done that with the Shrine of Ma'at because we think that if we do that particularly too soon, it's going to lead to the idea that I have a connection to the divine, that she has a connection to the divine, that you don't have. That is not where we're angling. That doesn't mean that we can't assist you if you have challenges, but we're not going to advertise that we're going to give readings to you. Because we are trying to help you develop the divine in you. That is the fundamental principle of Kemetic spirituality. So sometimes I bristle about that because I really want us to recognize that Heru is a plural word. And so hopefully we'll get to that point. Now you might think we're on a tangent. We were talking about your altar, right? It's not a tangent. Because as you begin to show others what you're doing to make this live in your life, you are cultivating the divine within you. And as you cultivate the divine within you, you will actually be able to assist others to cultivate the divine in them. That is what we do. When I was a young man in the Roman Catholic Church, when I did something wrong, I had to go see the priest. The priest that I knew that was feeling up on the nun. I knew that already. I knew that. I knew that. But he was the representation of Christ. Why? There's nothing wrong with saying he's a guide. He's human. I'm not saying that because he has flaws, he can't be a priest. I have flaws. But I am saying that this concept that we are without failings, and therefore we can assist other people, is the wrong, that we're not trying to recreate the Abrahamic traditions. We're trying to get to what the basis of Kemetic spirituality is, which is cultivating the divine within you, each and every one of you. And so please, if you haven't sent your image of your altar, some of you might not have sent your image of your altar because you don't have one. Tell the group that. Tell the group that. I don't have an altar yet. We hope that you will develop an altar and call it whatever you want. Because some people in your family are going to say, you have a what, where, with who, with why, what? And they're going to get very uncomfortable. When I started my first altar, I was still living in my mother's house. Still living in her house. And my mother was very worried. I had recently changed my name legally. I refused to go to church with them. These days, I'm more comfortable going to church with them now than I was then. Because I think I'm clearly cemented in who I am, and people know who I am. So I can go to support them. When she asked me to go before, it wasn't to support them. She was asking me to go there because you're missing something in your life. Your soul is in jeopardy. That's why I wouldn't go. So now I'll go. Sure, I'll go with my uncle. By the way, when I go, and Nika teases me, I go Kemetized down. I got a staff with me. I got the Nimbus cloth on. I got all the stuff I have on at the same time. I have multiple colors. When I come down, I'm like, okay, we're ready to go. She's like, what are you doing? But that's what I do because I want them to know I can support my family just as they support me, but I still have to be who I am and have my own power, right? So I'm more comfortable now going to church with them than I was then. But my mother was very worried. So she went into my room, looking around, and saw a space that looked very different. She saw candles. She saw a plant. She started to say, what is he doing? She was very worried because she saw the altar. And so when we had the conversation, I said, did you look at it carefully? She said, no, I don't want you to work no inequity in my house. She's Guyanese. And so that kind of work for her, they called obia. She thought that I was practicing a form of Vodun. And then when I told her I'm not practicing Vodun, but I have no problems with it, now she was even more worried. Because even if I was practicing Vodun, at least she would know what's wrong and root it out. Now she knows that I have no problem with what is wrong, and she still don't know what I'm doing. She was even more worried. Even more worried. So she told my father said, don't light no candles in here, you're gonna burn the house down. That was his way of saying, get rid of your altar. And I said, have you ever seen me leave a candle unattended? My poor parents. They loved me dearly. They were trying to give me the best of what they had, but they didn't understand what I was doing. And so finally I took my mother to the altar and she saw there was a picture of her mother who I've never met on the altar. She said, why do you have a picture of her? You've never met her. I said, because she is my ancestor. She is my grandmother and she is working for me. She calmed down. So I know that for those of you who don't have altars, there are probably varying reasons. Maybe you're new to the legacy. Maybe you're afraid what other people are going to say. Fine. But if you live authentically Kemetic, things in your life will change. It is difficult to be something and to pretend that you are something that you are not. It takes energy. It's like running a race with your arm tied behind your back. You still got both your legs, but something is wrong. You just can't move as fast as everybody else. Be who you are, and then things will happen. And talk to your family about it. So those of you who doesn't have an altar yet, come on, it's the family.
I don't have an official altar.
Okay.
I have one, but I just I owe you 2 homework assignments. I have to admit to my family that I owe him 2 homework assignments.
You don't owe me 2 homework assignments. You owe the group. Remember, that's why you were emailing it.
I picked Psalm 45, Maximum 45, but I didn't really finish up my expiation on it. You know what I'm saying? And then I have a little altar, but I didn't get all the little things that I wanted to put on it. So I didn't really get a chance to take the picture to send it via email to the group setting. So that's why I didn't really, go on.
And altar is something that's gonna always grow though. It doesn't matter like where you at.
So even though I might have one thing on it, it's not,
You can have one thing on it.
I saw Jose's altar, he had like maybe 3 things on it, like the 2 books.
Thank Brother Jabbar for that. He made me feel comfortable. He was just like, whatever it is, it's your intentions.
That's right.
And I just felt comfortable, just like, this is where I'm at. I have so much where to go. I feel like I cheated. Like that's the first thing I told Amoya, I said, I leapfrog a lot of years of waiting for a time like this. And here I come, just flying out of the wind, so to speak, and I run into all this, and Amoya's been waiting for God knows how long, for a space like this. So I kind of feel real fortunate to be, so I felt comfortable enough to just put in the books, okay, this is the words I have to help me get where eventually I need to be. So but just go with your heart.
Yes. And here's the deal. Once you create your first altar, recognize something very important. An altar is a process. One, there's no perfect altar. There's no perfect altar. That was my issue. When I left my mother's home, I had this little space. Then I went to Anika's home, Anika's apartment when we got married. We were waiting for this place to be finished. I had a small space next to hers. Then we got here, I said, I have a house. We're gonna have an altar room. And how long did it take for me to do that? So before, when I had these small spaces, they were active. I used them, I did things. But now I have this huge space and I didn't use this anymore. There was no one to challenge me, to question me, to make me feel uncomfortable what I was doing, and I didn't do it right away because I was waiting for the perfect altar. You have to recognize an altar is a process. First of all, no matter how wonderful you make it, if you're not using it, it's a table. It's a table. An altar is what you do. An altar allows you to remember your ancestors, to remember your divinity, to recognize those things that the Ntera, the great Nter, will assist you with. And when you focus on those things, amazing things can happen. I remember, I was trying to find this online so I could show you the clip. I remember a European, a Tom, who was asking Michael Jordan how he does amazing things he does after the dunk contest. How do you do that? And he said, well, it's hard to say, but I think when I'm in the locker room, I think about what I'm going to do. And then when I'm going to do it, I don't even think anymore. It just happens. He was like, but you put the ball under your legs and turned around and stuck your tongue out. He said, I wasn't really thinking about it. I had already seen it. And so I knew it was possible. Today in this new age world, they call it creative visualization. They have all kinds of different words for it. But the reality is that he was able to do amazing things because he saw it first. Your altar should allow you to see the greatness inside yourself, to work on those issues you have, to address the issues you may have with ancestors. When we do counseling, we're counseling without telling you too much about them, because you might know who we're talking about. Counseling one brother who's had several members of his family pass. And I've been telling him, do your altar work. And so he has some stuff, he's waiting for the perfect altar. Finally, I had to say, I have to take responsibility because I didn't talk to you about what I wanted you to do. Because in talking to you, I realized that one of the reasons why you're in this place where you feel like you're stuck, when you're in a rut, is because you feel guilty. He said, no, I don't feel guilty. We talked for a little bit longer. You feel guilty? No, I don't feel guilty. We talked a little bit longer. I said, why are you crying? Because I didn't do enough for my mother when she died. And he looked at me and he said, I'm guilty. I said, yes, beloved. Do your altar work so you can commune with her and say, I did what I thought was right and it still didn't work. You can actually make amends with that energy and forgive yourself so you can move forward. Forgiving yourself is an important part of being divine. Not because you're going to just say, whatever I did is whatever I did, I have no regrets. That's not what I'm talking about. I'm saying recognizing that what happened before you have no control over. So take the message, forgive yourself, and restore ma'at. That's what you have to do. So your altar is a process, okay? It could be small. You could put an altar on a matchbook. Literally. Literally, you could put an altar anywhere. When you really get into altar work, you realize that altars pop up in this house. They pop up without intention. We go, there's another altar right there. Not sure how it happened. Here's a plant. Got a picture of a relative. Then all of a sudden there's some incense burning. Then there's some crystals. There's an altar there. We've begun to believe that energy travels in waves, it travels in similar ways that light and sound travel, and they collect in places. You ever go into a large room and you can hear someone that's across the room and they don't realize it? It's interesting by the way the sound travels. For whatever reason, the sound travels in a way that you're able to hear them from a long distance. The Grand Central Station is a place that does that very, very interestingly. If you haven't been there and you're in New York, go take a look at it.
Small space.
Energy can collect in certain areas. Divine energy, I believe, also coalesces in certain areas. And in that area, you should make a shrine. You should make an altar. When you go into someone's home who practices the Yoruba tradition, what do you see? Who's ever been into a home of someone who is actively practicing the Yoruba tradition? What do you see? What do you see?
Here, I don't know what to call it, but they have offerings in several places in the home.
And the first one is always right at the door.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right at the door. They have food, they have money, they probably have alcohol, sometimes they have tobacco. Some things you might say, what is that? Talk to them about it. Talk to them about it. They're doing altar work. And it shouldn't be something, one brother who practices, studies Kemet says that we practice spookyism sometimes. And I take offense to that term. Spookyism. Like Kemet is just something that can be known. That's all it is. It's something that you study and that's it. It shouldn't be lived. So I'm not talking about something that has to be unusual or entirely mystical. We're talking about activating the divine in you. So that don't think that you can make an altar. Sometimes people think something bad will happen to me. I'm calling on energies I have no control over. You are a divine force. I think I told some of you that when I was a younger Kemite, I remember going on a bus trip, and I was talking to a brother who was in the Islamic community, but had known a few people that were in Kemetic community, well, were Kemites, but were disconnected. And one of the sisters kept telling him that she was afraid to practice Kemetic spirituality because the Neteru would have intimacy with her without her consent. I kept saying, please, I know that what you told me was private, but you have to give me, I have to speak to her. Something else is going on. The fundamental principle of Kemetic spirituality is that you are divine force. There's no divine force having intimacy with you without your consent. That does not happen. He never gave me contact with her. So I kept saying there's something that she needs healing about. There's something going on that she needs healing with. But recognize that you are a divine force. You create something, it's not going to do you harm. It will not do you harm. You can do you harm, but it will not do you harm. That's why when people say they're working roots, doing something against me, I'm a seer of millions of years. You can't harm me. You cannot harm me. I can harm me. You can't harm me. So just please, I want you to feel comfortable doing this. For those of you who don't have one, create one. Tend to it. Doesn't matter how big it is. I know I put it up here. Doesn't matter how big it is. Doesn't matter how small it is. Doesn't matter how many you have. There are different types you can create. You can create an altar to focus on particular energies you're working on. You can create an ancestral altar. You can create an altar for all sorts of things. You can do some of them together. I sort of think sometimes that your ancestral altar should be separate. That's just my belief. It doesn't have to be. But those are all things that you should consider. And we'll talk more about some of the things you might put on your altar so you can galvanize certain energies. Does that make sense? Okay. Questions, comments? Anyone else want to talk about their homework before we shift? And I noticed that nobody online is talking about their altars. I'm looking at you online. Just because you're not in here and Brother Jabari can't say, how come you didn't do it? Doesn't mean you shouldn't do it. Please recognize that it should be done. Your altar is a process. The process of assisting you in galvanizing your divine energy and working on those forces within you that can be unstoppable. That is what we're talking about. So hopefully you will create them. Sister Noni.
Yes, I have a question because I
Yes.
tried to send my assignment dealing with the maxim,
Mm-hmm.
and it got kicked back. Saying,
Really?
Yeah. It did. I don't know why it didn't go through.
I saw it.
You did.
It did?
Yeah,
It did go through?
I saw it.
What might have gotten kicked
This
back,
was a bad-
there are 2 emails that are not good emails.
Okay.
That might have come back to you.
Okay.
Yeah. And it didn't mean that it didn't get to everyone else, so don't be worried.
Okay, great.
Okay? And Sister Elaine actually said, well, what's going on with these emails? There are 2 emails for people who are in the class that don't really work.
You're keeping it up there.
Taking it down now might be difficult. So, but and Mur, thank you for coming in and trying to help. But recognize that that's what's happening. Essentially, what is going on is we have 2 emails in today. Okay, and also I want you to know that we had a wonderful time at the Boston Museum. We did our tour of the Boston Museum, and at least one of us came, right? Right, Brother Wiseman came from New York City to Boston. Doing the activities will also be amazing because some of the things that we're talking about will make more sense when you see the artifacts, when you see the scale, the color, the things look different than they do in pictures. When they're there, it's easier to feel energy. When I am really engrossed with these pieces, interesting things happen. I told some of you that Anika and I were in the Brooklyn Museum, just the 2 of us. I was really focused on a piece, and I wasn't trying to do anything. I was just focused on the piece, right? What happened? I walked around the corner, and a Tamil woman walked around the other corner. When I saw her and she saw me, I was so startled I went to leave the museum. And Nico's like, what are you doing? Where are you going? I'm going. Sorry, I'm going. What are you doing? Why are you just, you stand and looking at a statue, you get startled, the woman gets startled, and you leave? Do you know her? I said, yes, I know her. You know her from where? No, how do I explain? I've never met her, but when I turned the corner, I saw beyond her being, and she saw beyond mine. That was so uncomfortable because when I got startled, I recognized here I am, a Black man looking at a Tamil woman I've never met, and I saw her. And when I say nude, I'm not talking about without clothes. I'm talking about nudeness, and I saw that being that is inside this shell.
Wow.
And she saw mine. And I was scared. And so I was leaving the museum. And so Nika said, wait, we have to acknowledge what happened. I'm going to go talk to her. No, don't talk to her. Please don't talk to her. I said, well, what did you see? And I explained it to her, and she went and she spoke to a lady. By the way, the lady said, was that your husband? By the way, it happened to her too.
But what did you say actually? What was it?
I saw her. I didn't see the things that we are.
Essence?
I saw, essence is a word that's difficult to explain.
Wow.
But I told her all the things about her that I had known. It's almost like I had known her for many years, but I had never met her before in that instant.
Wow.
I think I asked her if she was Wiccan.
And Anika, I said, she's a Wiccan. And she said, I wouldn't use that word, but I do practice earth traditions and metaphysics. She confirmed the things that I saw. and wanted to speak to me. I was like, not I've seen this story before. Ends up me in the back of the car. I didn't. I need to get bail money. I was scared. But what I'm trying to say to you is, when you're in the place where the artifacts of your ancestors are, they are also imbued with energy. That was their intent. Spend time with them. And it'll continue the story. Yes, Brother Plico.
When you were at the Boston Museum, I was there a few Fridays ago. Did you see a huge Juno statue in one of the Kemetic wings?
Yes.
Had no business being in there.
Not a one.
Big ass what? Excuse me. Marble statue.
It is gigantic. It must be at least 20 feet tall.
Wow.
Yeah.
The last time I did a tour, they had to remove part of the ceiling to lower it in.
Wow.
And I asked, why are you putting it here? Right? And the person said, well, this is one of the only rooms that it can fit in. I know the museum pretty well. I said, well, the statues of the Nubian kings on the other side, those ceilings are just as large. And they also are open to the open air. Why here? I still don't know why they put it there. But I almost felt like they put the statue of their deity there to juxtapose to actually, it's almost like she's looking over. She's like the overseer. I'm very uncomfortable with it. So there's a very large statue of a deity there. But they don't understand is that Juno is a European version of our energy. So what they're trying to do is not working, but that's what they tried to do. But you have to get to the Boston Museum. The major museums that you should see outside of Kemet in the United States, the Metropolitan Museum, the Brooklyn Museum, the Oriental Institute in Chicago, the Boston Museum, and the Penn Museum. We do tours of all 5. And then, of course, you want to get to the British Museum. You want to get to the Louvre. You want to get to the Petrie Museum. Now, I know this sounds like, Jabari got me traveling all over the world. You are remembering your ancestor. I still haven't named 14 places, so that's what you're going to have to do to be able to get they're far flung, they're all over the place. And one of the children that was on the tour was looking at a piece, and he finally understood. I said, I said, what is this? He said, that's a coffin. I said, yeah, but what else? So there's a person inside there. Wait a minute, I don't understand. There's actually someone laying there. Yes. Right now. Yes. You're saying that they took him out. No, I'm saying he's right there. Wait. You mean he's sitting right there? Yes. Looking at me? Yes. And I'm looking at him? Yes.
Wow.
At the end, he said, well, who did they ask to put him there?
Wow.
So you have to understand that this is something this is a journey that you have to take. Okay? Make sense? What are we doing next Saturday, Anika?
The herb walk.
I forgot that we were doing. I already told Sonetta he's supposed to be coming and doing some stuff. We got to figure that out. But there's we're doing an herb walk. Did everyone see that already?
Yeah.
Okay. Yes. It's going to be amazing to be able to, if you are practicing Ma'at, imagine being in balance with your environment enough that it can sustain you. That is what we're talking about. And so the herb walk with Priestess Yendis is amazing. We've done it once before. And she will show you how you can eat in the park. Can you imagine? And I know you guys are thinking about dogs and people urinating, and no, you don't have to deal with that. You just go to the places that no one goes to. And the things that are growing that they think are weeds are there to sustain you. And they have a higher resonance or higher energy than the stuff that you buy in the store. Because I was grown in little plots and and sometimes on a farm. This stuff is growing wild. Do you imagine what the roots are doing? So just understand that this is a powerful thing. So if you're able to come, please do. Okay, so let's get to the business of this evening, because I don't want to have you here all night. We're going to move a little quickly. Tonight, we're going to be talking about, I really wish Anika was able to.
You just have to put it over and plug it in, right?
I'd have to disconnect the camera and the internet connection, so it would go dead for a little bit. Is that what I should do?
It'd be easier for you.
Yes, it would. Okay. Folks online, we're going to reconnect the camera. Anika is looking at me like I'm crazy for not allowing her to do this. So I've taken the cue. We're going to reconnect and you'll see us back. You know that the term in politics. In politics, a dog whistle means something very different, right? What does a dog whistle mean in politics?
Yeah,
Dog whistle.
dog whistle.
Dog whistleblower is a little different.
I never heard
No
of
one's heard
dog.
that before?
My dog whistle, no.
Okay.
I like that.
What politicians like to do, and now that I'm saying it to you, you're going to hear someone mention it. A dog whistle is a concept that was created primarily by the Europeans during the time, it comes into being mostly in the 60s and the 70s. What they wanted to be able to do was to get the votes for the largest number of people. That's what every politician wants to do. But sometimes what you say that actually activates one part of the electorate enrages another part of the electorate. So what do you attempt to do? You attempt to say something that one group of people will understand, and you hope the other group of people will not understand. Dog whistle politics, so that's what the Well, in politics, usually you'll hear dog whistle, but yeah, they use codes. It's certainly a code, right? And so it's almost like what they're attempting to do is they're trying to speak to one group without alienating another group. Symbols operate in a similar way. Like, for example, back to dog whistles really quickly. Ronald Reagan, when he wanted to speak to white segregationists and not alienate other groups of people, he went and did a rally, his first rally, at the site of the most ardent segregationist struggle. He didn't go there to talk about segregation. He didn't go there to speak ill of black folk, but the message was supposed to be conveyed. Donald Trump has a rally on Long Island where several people who are from the Salvadoran community were actually beaten. He didn't go there and say, let's beat up on Salvadorans, but he hoped that the message would be conveyed. Symbols operate in a similar way. When you begin to be familiar with symbols, you're going to begin to realize that people have been using them for a very long time, and they hope that they'll be able to empower themselves with them and empower certain groups with them. Now, because we're talking about Kemet, something else interesting happens. Often you are going to find that people are using symbols from ancient Africa to empower themselves, energy from ancient Africa to empower themselves. And they use them in plain sight, and they're hoping that some of us are not aware of it, don't have access to it, do not benefit from it. This is the problem that I have sometimes with people in Masonic orders. Because they find themselves to be caretakers of ancient African knowledge, but they don't want you, the African, to benefit from it, unless you're part of their group. They almost see that energy is finite. And so we should have it, but other people who are not part of our group should not.
So we have an answer online. So why are symbols important? Clarence says symbols help us to remember. It gives us something tangible to help with the unseen.
The fact that he says unseen is important here. Because what do they say about a picture with regard to words? A picture is worth 1,000 words. So sometimes a symbol will allow you to activate something that words don't easily articulate. That's the reason why our dreams sometimes, when you remember your dreams, they tend to have all sorts of interesting symbolism in there. Because there's something that's there. Sometimes it can be an ancestral memory. Sometimes it operates without language. I have a continuing dream, by the way, where I'm going into the New York City subway station, and I never find my way to the platform that I'm trying to get to take the train I'm trying to get. By the way, it's telling me something about something that I'm struggling with in my life. And depending on which day you talk to me, I think I understand why. I'm like, why did I have to dream again? Well, one time I saw the train, and the train actually, when I looked down, there were no wheels, there were human feet moving, and it became a serpent, and another reason why Nika always says, whenever I tell her strangers, she's like, where's your pad? You should have a pad by your bed to write those things down. Right? Let's talk a little bit more deliberately about that. What are you seeing here on the screen? The Heron market, right? That, and what do we usually call this today in the modern world? The Sphinx, we're going to discard that word, right? Because what is the Sphinx? What does it mean? The strangler, because when the Greeks saw it, they didn't understand what they were looking at. They came up with this whole myth about how you would go and you would ask the Sphinx. The Sphinx would ask you 3 questions, and if you didn't answer those questions, it would literally snuff your life out. They didn't understand what they were looking at, right? So they came up with this really bizarre myth. So we won't use the word Sphinx. We're going to call it what? Herua market, right? Sometimes you'll hear horror market. That's fine. I used to say Herua market because I want to remember that it's a word. It's a sentence. And the term is what? Heru on the horizon. We talked about the horror market before another Sebkhet. Just understand horizon is references coming into knowledge out of a place of being ignorant. It's enlightenment, right? That's what the horizon is. The place where light breaks the darkness. And so this is Herua market. And what are you seeing behind the Herua market? A tekken, symbol of resurrection. Yes, and the reflection pool, right? So does anyone know which temple this is? This is the temple. This is the temple that has been called Karnak today. We called it Kemetic. It has a large pool that was used for sacred baptism, and you see the tekken rising above it. But then when you look on the right, what do you see? A carbon copy. Sometimes you can copy. For those of you now, I'm dating myself. Okay, I'm gonna date myself. Remember when they say go over there and get a mimeograph?
Yes.
In school, they had the drummer, all that those the chemicals, and they would have to turn the drum, and then listen, I really gave my Justin laugh at me.
I don't even know what you're talking about.
Yeah, okay, right. And they had some squirrels. No, there was no squirrels. That's right. See, thank you. You could date yourself too. See, but understand that sometimes what would happen if you copied something too much, what would happen? It would become extremely distorted. In some ways, that's what happens here. So you're seeing a European version, a Tamil version of the Herua market. You're seeing what behind it? The Washington Monument, which is clearly a tekken, based on tekken. And you're seeing this isn't the river. This is the
Washington Mall.
It's the Washington Mall, but this is
A man-made lake.
It is a man-made lake. I think it's called the wading pool, is what it's called. But this is all in Washington, D.C. Right? So what is happening here, very basically, is they're attempting to use symbols. They're attempting to use these symbols also because they think that it galvanizes an energy, and they're trying to use it on their own behalf. Let's go a little bit further and see exactly what I'm talking about. What are we looking at here? George Washington with an apron. What kind of apron would you call that? A Masonic apron? Yes, it's like the shindig. Similar to ancient Kemetic dresses. Similar to ancient Kemetic dresses. And what is he doing? Hand gestures? Having trouble seeing?
Yeah.
Look at Anika's screen. You're real close to Anika. Look at Anika's screen. That might be easier, right? It's not still that easy, right? Well, not a gavel in his hand. He has a compass and a square around him. Well, let me ask this. What do you think he's doing?
He's laying the first stone.
He's laying a cornerstone for what? Yes, he said a temple. And I'm tempted first to say it's not a temple. But he would have said it was a temple. He would have said it was a temple. He would have said it was a shrine.
A lighthouse?
He's laying the first stone for the building of Washington, D.C. The city, Washington, D.C. So this is supposed to be the first stone placed in the ground. They might say, well, it's a city. I get that you go to ribbon cuttings and all of this stuff, right? Politicians do it all the time. But isn't it different here for him to be in full Masonic regalia? Look at the people around him now. They're all wearing Masonic regalia. In fact, how are they depicted? Yes, they do look like Copas. But what else are they doing? And they're encircling him. Why? Because they're galvanizing energy, one, and two, they don't want anybody else to know what they're doing. This still happens. I told you about the Tekken in Central Park. That when they brought it to Central Park, now keep in mind that they used public dollars. They put it in a public park, but before anyone else was able to see it after they erected it, the highest ranking Mason had a ceremony there that no one was able to go to. And they were allowed to place certain ritual items in the base before they erected the Tekken. There are no records of what they did, or what they put in there. Now listen, if they were doing this with the Tekken they created on their own land, you would say, yeah, they're using our symbols. And you might be a little frustrated by it, but they actually did it on public land and used public dollars. So think about what that means. No one else had access to it except them. They are trying to galvanize an energy for themselves. Let's go further. These are some of the items that you'll see. What you're actually seeing is some of the things that have been erected in Washington, D.C. This is in Washington, D.C. And I want you to understand that Washington, D.C. I'm missing a slide. I'm missing a slide.
There's a slide of, you have two slides of the Masonic order.
Okay. Well, I'll just have to tell you what it is. Washington, D.C. is very unique. It's not a state, right? What state is it in? It's mixed from Maryland and Virginia. Is it in a state?
No, you're right.
Not in a state.
District of
It's
Columbia.
the District of Columbia. We're not going to even talk about why Columbia. That's a reference in Columbus, but that's a whole other conversation. Understand that they created Washington, D.C. It was created at the behest of George Washington, the first president of the United States. Because before then, the capital of the United States existed in other states. The capital was at one point New York City. The capital was at another point for a very long time Philadelphia. But they decided that what happened when they put the capital in the state is that the people in that state had more power, political power, because now the capital is in my state. So they decided they were going to build a capital that was not in a state. It would just be the capital. It also meant that they had the opportunity to build something from scratch. Washington, D.C. is the only modern city that was entirely planned before they overturned one spade of dirt. They planned the entire city on paper. And so if a group of powerful Masons have a chance to build the capital of the nation, have a chance to build a city, what do you think they do? They're going to duplicate another powerful civilization. Which one? What did they call Washington, D.C. before they called it Washington, D.C.? They gave it a name. Some of you may be familiar with Brother Tony Ballard's wonderful work. They called it Egypt on the Potomac. Did you know that they called Washington, D.C. Egypt on the Potomac? The Potomac is the river that is in Washington, D.C. So they made sure it was on a river. Why? Because they were replicating the way that the Nile, we call the Nile the what? The Hapi. The importance of the Hapi in Kemetic was also the importance of the Potomac to Washington, D.C. So they built this city to be bisected to be cut in half by the Potomac River. And they developed a city that was literally a square. Washington, D.C. is supposed to be a square. 10 miles on each side. And not only does the river bisect the city, but there's a point where it diverges a bit, and there's a street that bisects the city. What street is that? 16th Street. What do they call 16th Street? What do they call it before they named it 16th Street? Some people in numerology are also counting 16. What number is 16? 7. We're not going to even go into numerology today. Okay. But understand that that was not by mistake. So they called this 16th Street the corridor of light. Now they call the corridor of light, what energy are they trying to draw? Ra. Ra. So how did they decide where 16th Street would be? Who did they get to
plotted. They called it Meridian Park. Go to that park, just like how I think this when the sun goes in different phases, you have temporary at the time. When the sun that stating basis, when the sun goes in different aspects of the sky, it illuminates certain things, there's a certain energy that goes through it. And actually, each one of those pools, when the sun is directly open, and you just see an arc. They have it set up. They got all kinds of stuff in the park.
No, he's been doing studying for a long time. Everybody like this. What is he talking about? What?
So it plots this system. Sun moving across the sky.
So let's ask a question. If you were going to try to get the strongest sun energy, the strongest energy of Ra, which part of the day would you choose? Noon. Around noon, right? So they got Benjamin Banneker, a free African who was never enslaved, a brilliant man, a man who saw a clock and decided he would make a clock out of wood. And it lasted for 100 years. It kept time for 100 years. Brilliant man. They got this African, one of the Sun people. Yes, he did. He knew astrology so well that what did he print? He printed an almanac that was known to be the most accurate almanac in the world for many years after his death. So he understood the movement of the heavens. Now, this is during a time when they're enslaved Africans, and they got an African to plot the sun. So what did he do? He looked at where the sun was at 12 noon at different parts of the year. He was charting Amen, Aten. Because remember, the first stage of the sun is what? Kepler, and then the highest stage is, and then when it's complete, it is Amun. So he was plotting Amen. So that he looked for Amun on one of the solstices. You have to tell me which one. That's part of your homework. And that is where they plotted where 16th Street would be. So a meridian is an imaginary line that plots where the sun will be at a certain time of the year. 16th Street is supposed to be the highest raw energy. So what do you think is at one end of 16th Street? It has to be if I just open that. The White House. It has to be, right? Remember, they plotted this. And so the White House, by the way, is at the end. And you will notice this now. The White House has rooms that are named after different colors. What is the White House? It's a prism. It is diffracting energies. And it has been recorded, even though they will not tell you this now, that people who are aware of the energies tell the president to sit in certain rooms on certain days. Today you have to be in the yellow room, Mr. President. Today you have to be in the green room, Mr. President. Because they are trying to galvanize divine energy. By the way, along 16th Street, guess what popped up along all of 16th Street? What would pop up? It has the largest accumulation of churches in the country. along 16th Street. All along 16th Street. Several miles. By the way, someone tell me how long 16th Street is in Washington, D.C. To the map. Well, keep in mind, but wait a minute, remember, how did they design 16th Washington, D.C.? It's a square, and each side of the square is
10 miles.
10 miles, so someone do the math. And tell me how long 16th Street is. Okay.
5 miles.
Won't say. It can't be 5 miles, because 2 of the sides are 10.
20.
And they're at a 90-degree angle. Okay. Anyway, this is math that you need to know, folks. Okay. So that's 16th Street. The place where Banneker and a man named Ellicott were doing the calculations at, they ended up creating a park there, which is called Meridian Hill Park. They were plotting meridians. Remember, the meridians is an imaginary line that the sun creates. By the way, there are lots of imaginary lines that people have charted around the world. The equator is the most popular one, right? In fact, you might not even know that your life is dictated by the meridians. What time is it? What time is it?
8:23.
8:23 what?
PM.
What's PM stand for?
Meridian.
No. Post meridian. And so then AM is anti-meridian, before the meridian. So you have to understand, even the way that you tell time is based on the sun. It is based on the meridians. So you may not have known it, but somebody depicted it. By the way, the first prime meridian went through the Great Mirkut. It isn't until the Europeans decided that they didn't want it to be in Africa, they created Greenwich time. A whole other conversation. Because they recognized that if they used the Mirkut as the prime meridian, that they were recognizing that a particular energy would be galvanized there, and they didn't want the brown people to be there. Now, the reality is, listen, Ra is Ra. You have no control.
I know, you can't change.
But they wanted to at least make it seem like it was someplace else. Anyway, so you might think, why is he talking about meridians? You talk about meridians every day when you say AM and PM. You just didn't know what it was. A meridian is what? That is drawn according to the movements of the sun. Okay, so that's what a meridian is. So Meridian Hill Park is where they were measuring the meridians, where Banneker and the European man, the Tamil man by the name of Ellicott, that were working together doing this, where they stayed. It's on a hill. So when they finished, they actually decided that the meridian would be right there, and that the park they would build a park there. This is the park that Omoye is talking about. One of the greatest features of the park is this cascading basin. It's been there for a very long time. Most people don't know what they're looking at. How many pools are there? Can you see them? How many? 1, 2, count with me.
3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13.
Why 13?
13 feet. Oh, I saw.
Yeah. So it's the 13 pieces that were found. And if you look closely, you will see that at the top of this pool, there is an arc. And in between the arc and the pool is an area, they call it an eccentric, by the way, the arc. Yes. You don't need to know that. But listen, when you study architecture, you're going to learn that you're studying energy, because that's really what architecture is, right? Okay. So you need to study it. Anika, there was a point she wouldn't let me go to the store. Because one time I went to the store, and she said, where is he? She came outside, and I was just staring at a building. So what are you doing? I was like, have you ever looked at this building? She's like, did you go to the store? I was like, oh, I forgot. So there was a point where she wouldn't let me go to the store. I said, ever go to the store? No, I'm coming with you. Because studying architecture talks to you about energy. That's really what it is, right? Okay. If you look closely and you see this, etc., the arc, and this area, this walking area, you'll see that they're actually even created an arc in the park because they were talking about kinetic energy. And you can go to this park, go to Brother Tony's amazing tour. It's Egypt on the Potomac tour. It is amazing. You will begin to see things that no one else can see, and you'll come home to your city and go, was that always there? Because now you will recognize that everyone in the European world, in the Western world, in the Tamil world that knows are actually trying to galvanize energy as described by your ancestors. And they know it. So Tony is in front of one of the Masonic lodges, the chief Masonic lodges that is built on 16th Street, and he's giving his tour and talking. And a Tamil Mason comes and tells him, you can't share that information. He says, everything I'm saying is in public domain, guys. You can't tell me I'm not going to say this. So he stands there with his hands folded. And after a while, he begins to realize that Tony is saying some things that he wasn't even aware of. Yeah. And they connect to what he does know. Yeah. And because Masons are seekers of knowledge, now he wants to share knowledge because this person has some stuff I need to know. So after they talk for a moment, he says, you know, I'm here because these are the highest ranking Masons in the nation, and this is what we learn. He shows him his book, and he flips it, and he sees all these Tamil men. He says, we learn that you think of these people as white, but we now know that they are black. He wasn't supposed to tell Tony that. But what they learn at their highest level is that they are the African. They don't know who y'all brown people are. This is their information. They are cultivating this knowledge. So look at the head, Brother Moya. Yes. Yes. And those tekens were aligned based on where the sun was at the winter solstice. No. The spring equinox and the fall equinox. Yes. The vernal and the spring equinox. Yes. 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 What? Here's the deal. I'm trying to say something bad, but I think I'm going to say it. And I hope that I'm wrong. I hope that I'm wrong. I really believe that most of the high-ranking Black Masons don't necessarily have access to information that the Tamil Masons do. Because the Tamil Masons are the one that have the amazing libraries. And in fact, when I first started reading some of the earliest texts that Tamil were writing about ancient Kemet that were honest, that had information that was just amazing, they were all Masons. Every single one. Gerald Massey, Albert Schwartzworld, or every single one. It made me think that I wanted to be part of their order so I could get to their library. Right? I can tell you that the Prince Hall Masons have been after me for a while. Right? But one of the reasons why I'm not with them is because I keep thinking, maybe I want to be with the Tamil Masons just so I can get to their library. That's a mad trifling. Mad trifling.
I thought of
It's
joining
the bad thing. I don't want to be with the brothers because the white folks have something I want.
Yeah.
That's trifling.
I looked at the white female.
So that's the reason why I haven't done it. But I will tell you, there's part of me that still wants to do that. There's information they have. By the way, look at the main headquarters for the Scottish Rite Masons in Washington, D.C. What do you see on the top?
Yeah, it has incredible architecture and symbolism.
Listen, the symbolism there, you can go on tours of most of the rooms. Amazing. By the way, that's where this thing is. There are two of them. One of them with his eyes closed, and one of them with his eyes open. By the way, you can even see that they wrote the letter on the front of it. This is very clearly they are galvanizing Kemetic energy. By the way, can you see that this one has its eyes closed? So what side is it on? The left. Not because you've seen it before should you know the answer to that, but because you are now thinking about symbolism and philosophy. The one that's left has its eyes closed. The one on the right has its eyes open. Because they're talking about the process of coming to divine knowledge. Yes.
Did you notice when you went to the Boston Museum? There's a head of a baby on the left with the eyes closed, and on the right, the head of a baby with the eyes open.
Where?
At the Boston Museum you just went to.
Well, where? On the outside or on the?
By the entrance, there's a head of a baby on the left and a head of a baby, a huge head of a baby on the left and the right. I got pictures.
Please show them share that with me.
On the left.
I only go into the group.
I only
go into the group entrance.
You talking about the front entrance? We came from the side, so I didn't.
I want to see that.
Yeah, we came with the glass doors.
Yeah. That, but the greatest knowledge would be in the main entrance, right? Yeah. I never gone through the main entrance.
I didn't go through that. Yeah.
Wow. Yes.
One of the other solid parts of that is they have the left side that says the knowledge comes from
The light comes
Right.
from the east,
And the law comes from it.
and the law comes from the west.
Okay, so
Yeah.
can you just talk a little bit about that?
Yes.
Left eye closed, right eye open.
Oh, here it is, the baby.
The concept is supposed to be. I can't look at it now.
Oh, sorry.
The
I got
concept
excited
is
for a
supposed
second.
to be the process of coming into divine knowledge. And so that's the reason why the one on the left has its eyes closed and the one on the right has its eyes open. I think there may even be a greater meaning as well.
Because her eyes
I think
open,
one of-
left brain, right brain.
Wow.
Yeah,
Right.
it's also
Wow.
possible the
Yeah.
one on the left has its eyes closed because it's dealing with intuition,
Yeah.
and the one on the right has its eyes open because it's dealing with literalism
Analytical.
and analytical.
Yes. It's literally just a baby head.
By the way,
There's
I had,
no body.
I had that
Wow.
conversation with Brother Tony, and when you have those kinds of conversations, you know what ended up happening? The rest of the tour, they were like, "Are we leaving?" We were just talking. We were like, "Sorry, I forgot I was he was like, "I forgot I was supposed to be leaving the tour." Listen, this information is amazing. When you recognize the symbols, you're going to see them everywhere. Now that you see this, I mean, you have to look at the main library in New York City differently. You have to look at the World Trade Center that came down differently. You have to look at the Empire State Building differently. You have to look at them all differently because they are built in symbols. Let's keep moving. The municipal building.
Yeah.
You talking about the one?
As well as the courthouse.
Yes. Listen, the knowledge is there. Okay, let's keep moving because we have a lot more to do. Washington, D.C. is very interesting. It's one of the most amazing things you'll see. I'm just giving you the very tip of the little toe. But look at George Washington, Abraham Lincoln here. He's supposed to be seated in a way that is evocative of Ramesses II. And the building that he's sitting in is supposed to also be evocative of the temple that was built by first Mentuhotep II and then rebuilt by Hatshepsut. I want you to understand that none of the things that you see that are built in grandeur were not built with an understanding or at least an appreciation for your knowledge. And the people who are using your knowledge and galvanizing energy by the way that your ancestors said it should be galvanized are the most powerful people in the world. Do you understand what I'm saying? So why should you not galvanize this energy? Your ancestors brought the knowledge into the world. And now there are powerful groups of Tamu that are using your knowledge and calling themselves the African. Let's be clear that the term Mason probably comes from the term, now they say that it's because Masons are going to do the building, but I guarantee the word actually means son of light. Who are the sons of light? The Mesu Heru. Remember the four? Remember the Mesu Heru? In the opening of the way? The sons of Heru. If Heru is a divine energy on the physical plane, then the Mesu Heru are those that spread the knowledge on the physical plane. They believe they are the Mesu Heru. Who are you, African? Who are you? So that is why symbolism is of critical importance, because as you begin to, and this, none of my presentations work in the way that it should. Some of you saw this yesterday in Kemetic Ascension. By the way, you should partake in Kemetic Ascension. Doesn't mean you have to necessarily come here. It's online as well. Kemetic Ascension is public, so it's on our Facebook page. It's run Facebook Live.
We talked about this on yesterday as well. Are you seeing George Washington here standing in a position of adoration? The same position that your ancestors deemed appropriate for the transmission of energy thousands of years before. Now you should see his kilt looking at something very different. Brother Clico said that it is evocative of the Shendit kilt. That's why he wears it. Notice that Masons wear this collar. It's supposed to be the broad collar that your Kemetic ancestors wore. Yeah, listen. His hairstyle is supposed to be the Nemesis collar. By the way, it said that his hair didn't actually look like that. They redrew his image so he would look like the Haramaket on the dollar. So you have to understand that these symbols, he's standing with his left foot forward. These symbols
in a square.
are symbols. He's in a square here because he's used. Remember, he only saw the cover of the book, y'all. And his nation is the most powerful nation in the world. He looked at the cover of the book. They never opened it. You wrote the book. You have to remember who you are so that you can once again bring that knowledge back into it. So those are some of the examples that we'll use. Really quickly, the way that ancient Kemet has influenced many modern monuments. What are you looking at here? Who is this? Seshat. You said Seshet. Seshet, Sheshat. Remember, the vowels are not transcribed very much in the Kemetic language. So you could say Shoshat. You could say Seshet. I used to say Seshat. But those are all acceptable translations.
There is an O, so most likely you wouldn't say Shoshat. There is a letter for O, so most likely it wouldn't be Shoshat.
So understand that there are different ways that this can be said. Okay? Who is she? Someone tell me who Seshat is. Some people say that she is Sehuti's wife.
The Lady of Secrets. The Recorder of Time.
She has some good abilities too. Yes, she does. When they do this thing called the time, the cutting of the cord. They say prayers to Seshat. The cutting of the cord, by the way, is where we get the cutting of the ribbon concept from. These are all Kemetic. You'll actually see them doing the same thing. It is a ceremony that's done before an important building is consecrated. It's a Kemetic ritual. But you see that she's writing on a palm rib. That's what that is. Some of you are like, what's a palm rib? I know that most of y'all were Christians at one time. Remember when you had the palms and you tie them into crosses? That's the palm rib. The palm was sacred in the Kemetic tradition long before it meant something in the Christian tradition. And the reason why the palms are used in that part of that myth is because they're talking about resurrection. We use the palm as a representation of eternity. So Seshat is etching the years on the palm rib. On her head is the flower that comes from the papyrus plant, the sesh plant. So that is what you are seeing her do. She is a lady of secrets. And once you see her and understand who she is, that she's the lady of great knowledge, you have to recognize that that is what this is referencing.
Oh, wow, I just saw something.
Do you see the number of rays that come from her head? Do you notice that she is holding a torch, which is a symbol of illumination? And
like my head is exploding. Her name is on her head. Sesh.
Yeah.
I never noticed the actual T, the breast, that we always argue whether it's a loaf or a breast.
Oh.
That's literally the breast, which is the T of her name, and the sesh plant.
By the way, that's pretty powerful because people have been talking for a long time about that. We know that this is the palm problem. People always say, well, what is that?
Yes. Yes.
The T is usually, they call it a loaf of bread. Some of you are like, what are they talking about?
I'm sorry.
And sometimes they also call it a loaf. Baba also says it's a breast. It's a breast.
Yeah.
Right.
But they just took the nipple off.
But right. You'll actually see, it seems like there's a nipple on this.
Yeah.
Wow. So this would actually be even the word that actually is her name. Wow. very, very powerful. But understand that the lady that stands in the harbor is a representation of her. The person that designed her to initially go into the new canal that was being built in Kemet, in Egypt. And when they saw his design, they said it was not original. Of course not, because there were goddesses like that, turks like that all over Kemet. And so they said that they wouldn't use his design. And then he actually came and got the French, his countrymen, to use it and to give it to the United States. So it wasn't initially planned to be in the United States. This is a recreation of your sacred mother as a tomboy. We could talk a lot more about her. We don't have time to do that. But recognize that she is supposed to be a tomboy version of Sebkhet. When you see the symbols, you can't unsee them. When you see the symbols, you begin to recognize that the tomboy have been using them for a very long time for their own power and grandeur. Okay, so why should we be interested? I'm going to go through this very quickly. Why should we be interested in studying Kemetic symbols? First of all, Kemetic civilization served as source material for world civilization. So it is the source material. That essentially means that if you understand Kemetic symbolism, then you will understand the symbolism of the world. And understanding the symbols of the world will put you in a very powerful position. So just here we talk about the world's oldest book is from Kemet. The world's earliest recorded doctor is from Kemet. The archetypes for the Holy Trinity are from Kemet. So if you understand Kemetic symbolism, Kemetic principles, Kemetic philosophy, you will be in a powerful place wherever you are in the world. Also, understand that Kemetic symbolism is so heady, so powerful, that the symbols that we don't understand, sometimes Western scholars say it doesn't mean anything. But the reason why I say it don't mean anything is because they don't know what it is. They haven't been revealed yet.
Yeah.
There are no symbols that are arbitrary. So there's still so much more to learn. And then finally, let's recognize that one of the major reasons why you should know Kemetic symbols is because they're yours. Let's just keep it simple. Because they're your symbols. So take a look at this. What's this? It's not going to play. What is it? What did I just show you? River dance. What's river dance? I think you can play that video, by the way.
Scottish dancing formation in mind.
Like it? What the hell was that? What the hell was that? Do you know that when I went to Scotland, by the way, I got a chance to meet some of the greatest Scottish dancers because they came to the ceremony. I got a chance to talk to them. Right? These are folks that dance, for everyone. They're the best of the best. Right? When I spoke to them, they said that the touring that does Bring It Noise, Bring It the Funk, remember that? And he said, when they danced, we demanded to see the underside of the stage. I said, why? Because we couldn't understand the sounds that they were making. It seemed like they were actually playing something, and those sounds couldn't be made by human feet. Right? So I'm going to actually say to you something that maybe is a little foul, but I'm going to say it anyway. Scottish dancing is a poor version of African tap dancing. What is this dancing with not using your arms? And what was that? What the heck are they doing?
It's so linear. And it's no sound. It's no sound.
Very little sound. But let's be clear. You know how much money they made as of 2009 on Riverdance? They made over $1 billion in profits. Doing dancing that is not very good. So basically understand that when you do you, it can be empowering.
And that's them doing that.
And that's them doing that. They have made tons of profits over it with it. And we are still running away from doing things that actually make our hearts sing. So one of the major reasons why I think that we need to come to this knowledge is because it's ours, that's all. Even if it wasn't very good, it's still yours. Learn it, right? Okay. Here's some quick symbols to understanding Kemetic symbolism. First of all, you have symbolism in form. So an example, by the way, this comes from a wonderful book called Symbol and Magic in Egyptian Art by Richard H. Wilkinson. Anything that Wilkinson comes out with, I buy, because his stuff is pretty darn good, right? His stuff is good. So symbolism of form is one of the ways to understand symbolism in Kemetic art. So you look at the tekken, and the tekken looks like a henna. That's what it is. They made it to look like what it is. So when you try to understand something, understand that the form can be important in understanding the underlying mythos, the underlying story. The symbolism in size. Keep in mind these slides will be online, right? So writing it down will help you remember it, but remember, if you don't write it down, it's like it's going to disappear. It's going to be on the slides, okay? Symbolism of size. So here's an example of symbolism in size. We're actually looking at, this is the tomb of Ptah. And so you're seeing an image of Ptah. What is he doing? Drinking. He's actually receiving offerings. By the way, does his hand look unusual? His right hand looks like what? His right hand looks like a left hand. Why? You receive with your left hand, you give with your right hand, right? So he's actually, in many ways, doing what with his right hand? He's actually giving. Remember left and right hand, right? You give with your left, you receive with your right. Well, his right hand looks like a left hand. I think they're actually saying he's both receiving and giving. This is of critical importance because as you see these small tomb assistants that are bringing offerings to him, they are not just bringing offerings to him, they're receiving energy from him.
The hands are correct, it's just what he's doing with them. Because if you have your hand out, the thumb is on the side, it's the right. But with the left hand, with the left hand he's receiving, he's taking in, and the right hand he has down.
But the right hand looks like it has the right arm looks like it has the wrong hand.
No, the thumb is on the inside, you wouldn't see it.
That thumb doesn't look like it's on the inside.
Well, I don't see a thumb on the right hand.
It doesn't look unusual to you? It's gotta look unusual.
I can't see it.
That hand don't look right. But it's not that it's not right. They know how to carve
I'm not saying
thumbs.
it's incorrect, but it's not.
They're using symbolism. By the way, you should also understand that when you have an ancestral temple, an ancestral altar, you're giving energy and receiving energy, right? That's what they're telling you here. That as you give, so shall you receive. You're giving it to the person that has made their transition, but you're receiving energy from them as well. But obviously, the most important character in this image is Ptah.
But where's I'm still trying to figure out where's that thumb on his right hand. I can't see it very well on this image. I'm looking and I can't see the thumb, so I'm assuming the thumb is on the inside. This hand is like this on his lap.
God, does this hand not look strange to you? She's the only one that says that looks normal to me, probably because she's been looking at these for so long. But understand that sometimes in Kemetic art, they will switch hands on arms because they're trying to make a commentary about the receipts and about the giving of energy. Okay? When we go on the Metropolitan tour, I'll show it to you very clearly. But so size is often important. Location is often important. Material, like where they actually place something is important. The materials they make things out of are important. The color that, by the way, when we say materials, the falcon that is Heru is often depicted in gold. Why? Because the gold color is supposed to be evocative of the sun. That's the other reason why we have an image of Heru here in amber. Because once again, they're trying to be evocative of the sun, right? So that's what this, by the way, you should look at this if you get a chance. It's very interesting.
You
Because
can't see
amber
it
is
online.
sap that is within a tree that hardens after perhaps thousands of years. And after that, then some of the material even gets trapped inside.
Okay.
So it's very, we can't do that now.
They can't see.
Can't see what? Oh, this?
Yes.
Oh, don't you were talking about the arm again. Yeah, like we having a conversation.
Turn to the side.
So you're seeing Heru and amber.
Okay.
Right? So we'll pass it. So there's symbolism in color. Obviously, colors mean something. There's symbolism in numbers. You saw the 13 pools. There's symbolism in the actual glyph, the meta netter, because sometimes the glyph looks like something, right? So sometimes they'll actually use the glyph to tell something, and they're symbols of action. So you'll see someone striding forward. It's supposed to be a pose that says this person is alive. These are important ways for you to look at symbols. And so this is what I want you to do as we come to some whatever close. I want you to look at some of these symbols. We're going to give you 5 minutes to do this. Tell me what they mean. So I'm going to give this to you, and you're going to work with both Siobhan and the princess. I don't know how well you know Siobhan, I don't know her well. So you're getting a chance to talk to people that you don't know. I'm going to give this to you, Fatah, and you're going to work with Clico and with Wiseman. You only have 5 minutes.
Do you have something online?
Yes, of course. Do I have enough? I hope I have enough. I think I should give it to 4 people instead of 3. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to give this to the 4 of you, okay? In fact, you know what? You know what I'm going to do? I'm going to give another one to... You know what we're going to do? I could do that. You know what I'm going to do? Yeah, work with the 3 of you, and I'm going to ask, I know you're kind of far over there, but I want you to come forward and work with Justin, Noni, and Valencia are going to work together on this symbol. So I want you to talk for 5 minutes and tell me what it is. Folks online, this is your symbol. Can you see?
Hold on.
Too much light behind you?
No, I'm not on your slide.
This is your symbol. Can they see it?
Yes.
You have the slide there?
Yes.
Oh, wonderful. Good.
So put it up.
Good. No, but they're seeing it on the screen, right?
No, I don't see where you put it.
It's probably in the folder. I don't think I actually made a slide.
Okay. Bring it closer.
Can that be seen?
Yes.
Yes?
Yes.
This is your symbol.
And what are they supposed to do?
They're supposed to look at the symbol, talk about the symbol, and tell me what you think the symbol means. Were you able to switch it so they could see the symbol?
You didn't have it. I have to get a picture.
Well, they heard it. You don't have to write it down. They heard it. Okay. Wait, get it out of the folder really quick. So folks online, this is your symbol. Look at them and tell me what it means.
Oh yeah.
You have 3 minutes left. Don't even make excuses. Just come up with some information. He's again, I'm guessing. Stop it. No, it's the top part of that.
That's the whole. That's the whole. I thought it was the animal had that set.
I know, but I realized, like, I
You know, your mind is always like, I don't know what this is.
Yeah.
I know and who holds this.
You have like a minute and a half. Sometimes jackals. Yep.
Glad that you put that this is one of your symbols because there's some erroneous stuff that's been going on, and I know who started it. That's been going on the internet with that symbol. Claiming that this is the like
I didn't hear that one.
that's not true. I know who started it.
I better get out
I started on Instagram about 4 or 5 years ago.
You know what?
That's people thinking with today's mentality.
You know what? I think I did see that, Clico. I think I did see that.
What did they say it was?
This girl just started studying Kemetic for like a minute. And she was just going crazy. Just making up all types of stuff. It got around first. It got around.
You heard it too? That's right. That's something that didn't come out right because Jabari didn't think about how it was going to look. Yeah, I'm kind of stupid with that.
See, that's what's tricky about it.
30 seconds. Oh, it's on the slide. Okay, it's on the slide. Right, okay, good. Oh, I think I already, maybe I did put them in here. I'm just being stupid. Thinking that I did. Don't say I know what that film is. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Okay. Who wants to tell me what they came up with?
Only one
Yes.
person.
Brother Fatah.
It seemed like
Can we see the picture first before you start?
Now, first, Anika, can you put the picture online as well? So you can say what it is? She has the picture there. She has it. Yeah, she should have it so she can show it to everybody. So why don't you tell us what you came up with?
all right, the first thing I came up with is that the as well, they was
But show us everybody else in the room because they can't see what's on.
the cook as well, they the first thing I noticed is an X shape. So I think I thought it was like the unknown or it was pertaining to a Saurian post. And then I noticed that the fell was before the actually after the crux. The crux was closer to the heart or the chest, the heart. So that's going into my heart, saying judging from the heart, saying and being it was like a crux, so it's like dealing with giving you the law, and then the spell was like it has the three things, three pieces here. So it's like spell was in reference to I saw an ox, that if you disobey the Lord, then the three forces will punish you. So that's what we came up with. Then it was like gold, blue, gold, blue.
also us. So it goes even down to the colors we're dealing with three major, Trinity concept of ourselves.
Like I think the cooking flow is like yellow and like something like the beat. Like the beat, because the beat, just like the cooking flow, are symbols of regalia.
And when you say the beat, you're also talking about the nemes cloth, the cloth that is
also
right. Right. This is not in color, but he's talking about this headdress here, which is called the nemes cloth.
And actually, I think
What the crown is wearing?
The nemes cloth is like the yellow and blue with the beat, and the back is the stinger. But to me, it's also the nemes cloth. Turn around. The head also looks like a rare color.
Yes.
And it also looks like the mane of a lion. All three of those are symbols of regalia.
Power.
Now, I want you to recognize that your Kemetic ancestors had no problem with duality. Okay? So, some people might say, well, which is it? Is the V or is it the cobra? They had no problem with the duality of meaning. They liked the duplicity of meaning. They enjoyed the play in concepts. So I think that his analysis of the nemesis is really interesting. We're going to talk more about that in another second. So the items that he was looking at that are called the crook and flail, what are the Kemetic words for them? The heka is which one? The heka is the curved one. What does heka mean? It's like power, right? And then the flail is called, that's the nekeka. So it's the heka and the keka. In some ways, it actually, in my mind, in the way I think of it, it talks about the power of authority. That it is both the ability to bring one closer and also the ability to chastise one. There's the two levels of authority, right? By the way, the flail, the nekeka, is initially, it's a device used for wheat. So you would get the wheat, you'd put it on something that actually had holes in it, and you would beat it with it, and then the grain would be found below, and the rest of it you could throw away or use for something else. So understand that that is also where it comes from. The heka and the keka, it's a symbol of rulership in ancient Kemet, and we find it finds its way into the Christian world as well. You know, you hear about the rod and the staff. It's like, well, isn't a rod and a staff the same thing? There's some confusion. And you also see Jesus as a shepherd with the same image. So understand that these images are also critically important. Okay, who else wants to talk about the image now? Are they ready?
Well, so far, we have to tell them off. Only 2 people responded. They had the jet column.
Yes, and what do they say about the jet?
So Clarence says it looks like a power pack, a battery with cells. And he also said it's a jet. Kyra says to her it looked like a building with different levels to the top.
You know, those are all, you know, here's the deal. I could have just showed you the symbols and said, this is what we think it means. But the reality is this. These symbols have to have meaning to you as well. Remember, symbols activate something within you. It would be completely linear for me to stand here and tell you this is what it means, because reality is maybe probably has several different types of meanings. When you look at the jet column, do I have one in here? Because some of you don't even know what I'm talking about. Oh, come on, say it. We're not going to do this.
It's on your arm.
It is on my arm, but I want to find a better, I think I have a better symbol of it. Come on. This is a whole other conversation. Okay, there's the J. There's the J. The Jet column. By the way, my Kemetic name is Heru Jedin Ma'at Atin Ra. So the Jet is actually in my Ankh as well. That's a good something. Because my Ankh is me. Right? So it has all of the symbols that make up who I am are in my Ankh. and of course my name is in it too. Right. So I don't know if you knew this, but that no one has the same Ankh, right? Because they are part of your journey, right? So Anika's Ankh looks very different. In fact, when Anika and I see other priests that have similar Ankhs, we're like, well, how they have similar Ankhs? That's my story. We get to that debate, and we start talking like, oh, what do you mean I can have it? It's mine. No, it's mine. It's mine. We get into some pushing matches over Ankhs. But that's very
Nobody has mine because I have a crystal.
Yes, she's the only one that has a crystal on hers, which she keeps breaking. But anyway, I'm gonna be in trouble for that one. I could not. Look at her face. You met up all.
You want me to reveal what happened to you?
I already told them what happened to mine. I already told them.
Yours broke in half.
I told them yesterday. I was walking.
His entire
I was
arm
running
broke in half.
to the train. I slipped on the stairs with my luggage and snapped my arm.
No way.
Wow.
Yeah.
How
So it
about,
had to be repaired.
how about your meditation on?
I didn't do that.
As he was doing a tour at the museum, and he said, "What does the top represent? The top falls off."
The top didn't fall off. The actual enemy broke, which I thought was more symbolic. And I was telling them the symbolism, and as I finished the story, they were like, "Brother, you need to go see your priest. You need to something wrong. If your head don't break while you're talking about it, something wrong." Anyway. So understand that they're all unique, right? But as you look at the Jed is supposed to be the backbone of a Sar, right? And it is raised. Think about the backbone as that thing that allows you to stand upright. So symbolically, it is a symbol of resurrection. Some people say that this is also where it's similar to the Christian cross. It's a symbol of resurrection. It has a vertical portion and several horizontal portions. I think that's a stretch. But I do believe that it's clearly a symbol of resurrection. It's very interesting. By the way, the other thing that I find very interesting about, there's so many things I want to say really quick, and I'm trying to move quickly. Notice that the Jed in this one, in this image that has Tehuti and Heru raising the Jed, they are resurrecting the Sar. You'll see it even has the Sar crown on top. So it's the Atep crown, and it actually is a Sar. The Jed is a Sar. They actually have eyes and they have the arms with the Hek and the Kek. So really quickly understand that when Kaira says that it looks like a building, in many ways, yes, you're talking about an upright structure with levels. So yes, it does look like a building. And Clarence says it looks like the battery. The original battery is probably based on the Jed. That's a whole other conversation we do not even have time for. But the person who made the battery, whose name was what? How do you measure electricity in what? And or volts. He was Volta. That's where we get the concept for the volt. His name was Volta. He was absolutely obsessed with ancient Kemet. So if you actually ripped off the cover of your battery, you would see something that looks just like the Jed. It is possible that our Kemetic ancestors used the Jed for energy. If you look at some of the symbols, you'll see that they're trying to reference energy coming from the Jed.
You see something that looks like a light bulb.
Yes.
On the
some of us
wall.
on the Penn Museum touring will actually show it to you. So understand that all of what they said online is powerful about the Jed. There's something else I want you to recognize, though. What is that symbol? What's it called? Yes. If Dainyame, sometimes you'll hear Jinyame, right? This is a West African symbol, and it is also a backbone that represents a divine force. Notice that there are 4 levels here as well. Yes, it does. Because it's talking about how energy transfers. Folks, I actually believe that this symbol and the Jed are related. That perhaps the same people were describing energy, describing symbols, and came up with things that may look different but are actually the same. And this is also a backbone. By the way, I spoke to someone who actually studies bones, and he said, well, the most important part of the backbone is what's called the sacrum, and there are 4 bones in the sacrum. So it's possible that this is also a scientific message as well. So it's philosophical and scientific at the same time. Very interesting. about the Jed, we didn't even begin. Because there's so much more symbolism. Who else wants to talk about another symbol really quickly?
We had the watch.
You put the watch on the screen. They have the watch scepter.
Yeah, we spoke about. So at first I was trying to figure out.
By the way, for those of you in the room that can't see it, it's on the screen here.
Yeah.
Yes.
First I was trying to figure out what the head represented because I think it would add something to the set, right? But we basically realized that it represents dominion over chaos, over holding warding out like evil, and holding it ahead of you, and making sure you have control.
Right.
Over the chaos that is.
Now, some people say that that's the set animal there, right? What are your thoughts? Is that set or not?
I don't know. That's the book thing. They say it's a no. Like they're not sure. Some people say it's set. Other people say that the bottom is fourth because set is the one is the only one who can control of that. While on the boat he's the one that's sticking at the bottom.
Is that a hand back there? No.
It looks like an antelope.
Folks, I'm going to say to you that we don't know whether that's set or not. There's a great debate even today as to what animal is being represented.
I know,
but clearly,
and set.
It looks like Anpu. There are a bunch of Neteru that hold it. Yeah. You can see here, Heru, and I say Heru because he has a dual crown here, is holding. Can you see it closely there? He's holding the Wa scepter there with an Ankh. Sometimes they say it's a symbol of protection. Ptah has a stylized Ankh that actually has both the Jed and. So this is a very, very powerful symbol. But it really, the only meaning that I think we're clear about, I'll pass that around. That's the word of Ptah. Yes, it means power or protection. Was, right? Sometimes it's spelled W-A-S. Sometimes you'll see it spelled U-A-S in English. It's called the Was scepter. And very clearly, the concept is those things that you're struggling with, those things that mean you harm, you should have in front of you. And in some ways, if they mean you harm and you have in front of you, you have control over it, that actually means that you're very powerful. Because those things that can harm you, you have dominion over. So it's almost like a symbol that in some ways could seem like it's a negative symbol has been reversed by your energy. It's a powerful, it's a symbol of power now. And so very, very interesting. We don't know everything about the Wa scepter. I will say something else though. When we actually see Wa scepters that have been created in some of the museums, this is why you have to get to museums, they actually only use pieces of wood where the branch is coming out of, where a branch has been broken out of, where a branch divides into two different branches. And I know that talking to carvers, they always say the part of the tree that is hardest to carve is the part where there's the joint. If you've ever had to paint something, Anika and I will tell you this because we painted this house and we always have to repaint. When you paint over a joint, what happens? It doesn't crack, it doesn't expand. The paint gets sucked in by the joint. Eventually, you'll see the joint again. You got to paint it again. There's a greater force, energy force that the plant sends in order to send up another shoot. In some ways, it's possible they're also talking about a collection of energy. Because the only time you see them actually created in museums are when they take those branches. You usually don't see them, like for example, carve another piece and stick it on top. They actually use a piece of a tree where the joint takes place. So it's very interesting, I think. There's a lot more study that needs to be done on the Wa scepter. I've been trying to find one for a long time that looks like that, so I can carve it. They're not easy to find. So. And Anika knows that I have sticks all over the house.
Yes,
so
it
carve.
does look
I
like
almost got in trouble the other day bringing it up to stick it to the house.
An antelope. It does look like
It does look like it. It looks like an
When
antelope.
you think about them, they're prey. They're all and they're amazing. So if you know that,
It tells you something about the thing that you have in front of you.
Yeah, hold it in front of you, so
Your
you
ability
can
to
be
discern.
aware of everything.
Yeah,
around
vision, that's key, because it's in front of you. Right. The reason why they say that you have dominion over it is because remember, it's only the head too, by the way. It's almost like you've taken the head of that thing that can harm you. Yeah. So that thing that can harm you is no longer something that harms you, it's something that you have power. Right.
And I think about being the head and not the tail.
Yes.
Once you have the head, you control the tail.
So think about these things because these symbols will mean something to you. Someone else want to talk about what they have? Let's see. Another symbol. Some of you are afraid. I see y'all afraid. No. Kessler's trying to get over it. I'd like to know more about this symbol. We all like to know more about the symbol. Someone instruct us.
No, it was just we discussed what we were seeing.
Can you show that these are the I'm sorry, the 2-finger amulet? Let's see if I have one. I don't think I have that one. I don't have that one on me. You have the 2 fingers there though. Okay. So tell us about the amulet that we have.
Yeah, when you look closer.
What do you think?
The right hand, the way that it's situated, and just like Sean was saying, all I can envision is those, those greasy people.
Oh.
Yeah, just casually looking at shows otherwise. Some pictures of her with those 2 fingers. That's all I thought about. The color, I'm thinking symbolism and form. And symbolism and color. It looks brown on here. Yeah. The 3.
Okay. Good.
Technically, this could represent the skin of an apple, but
yeah. No, they're looking for me to tell them about this. They trying to cheat, y'all. First of all, let me say to you that trying to come into understanding of these symbols is a powerful thing. And what you've said is you've added a lot to this understanding. Let me say to you that this symbol is also it's usually found when the priest does the incision to remove organs on a sahu. That often when the body is sahufied and wrapped, you'll find that amulet over the wound. So in some ways, it is a symbol of healing. It may have come from simply holding the wound together, right? In addition to that, there's a reference in the Merkuti text, the pyramid text. I say pyramid text because you're going to have to search for pyramid text. If you look for Merkuti text, you won't see me in the so in the pyramid text, there's a commentary that in order to rise, 2 fingers were used for the father. It seems to be a reference to a myth that we've lost the text of, where Heru assists Asar to ascend by giving him 2 fingers onto a ladder. So the 2 fingers represent the ascension of Asar after he is rectified by his wife and his son. After he does battle with Sed, and now Asar is able to ascend into the afterlife. It seems to also reference that as well. I read once, and it's something that I believe, sometimes I take pictures like this, and usually what I do is I hide the thumb, because I think that it's a symbol of 3, but you only see 2. So I always say that one is Heru, one is As, but Asar is there. That's the way that I read the symbol. That is just Jabari El-Zaze's interpretation. And so I take pictures like this sometimes because I'm recognizing the divine energy of the male energy, the female energy, and the creative energy. two more things I'm gonna say really quickly. I think you all said this, right? You talked about how you'll see the priest. By the way, I was Roman Catholic, so when we did the sign of the cross, what did we use? Those same two fingers. You will see images of Jesus with the two fingers raised. The symbol of the two fingers has gone into the later traditions. It's gone into the later traditions. It's related to the Hamsa. I'm not going to go into the Hamsa right now, but those of you who know the Hamsa know it's related to the Hamsa. So this symbol here actually has deep meaning, but much of it is lost. You won't see anyone talk about it or use it at all today. Because what happens is, because people aren't really studying the Kemetic legacy into getting into real detail, we should be. We're the practitioners, right? They don't know these symbols. You'll see people wearing ankh, don't know what the heck it is. Anika and I went to dinner. She knows exactly what I'm talking about. Went to dinner. I was running a nonprofit. And so I met the chair of the board and his wife when we had dinner. They're both Jewish. And the wife, when we first came in, she was just staring at us, right? Then she started staring at my ring. And I was like, this is really uncomfortable. So she said, I see your ring. It had the ujat on it. Right? And she said, can you tell me about it? So I told her a little bit about the ujat, the Eye of Heru. And she said, do you know more? And so I said, sure, I know more. You know, I carry this on. I'm a Kemetic priest. I'm a historian. So I spoke, and every single time I would finish, she would say, is there anything else? So for me, I was like, Amika's looking at me. I'm looking at her. I'm like, what's going on here? I'm not sure if they're testing me because I am the CEO of this organization. They want to know who the heck I am.
They were looking at my rings the whole
I didn't know what was going on. So finally she said, you know, I'm Jewish, but I have that symbol all over my back. And her husband goes like this. Tattoos of that all over her back. She didn't know what it meant. So she was very happy that we came to tell her what it meant. After that, they were just yucking it up. They had a great time. They were like, it was real. I mean, was that not a strange conversation?
She just kept staring at my hands.
Yes.
And she was like, can you explain those? I was like, it would take several weeks for me to explain what's
And
on
by
my
the way,
hand.
we came in dressed very conservative because I wasn't trying to scare these folks away. I wasn't trying to scare them. I need their money. I wasn't trying to scare them. I'm not trying to scare them. But even, I'm not going to not carry my ankh because I think that would be a rejection of my spiritual tradition, of who I am, my ancestors. So I had to carry my ankh. I'm not going to take off my wedding ring. Anika had on fewer rings, and she usually, I call her Mrs. T. She has a ring on every almost every finger. She didn't even have her rings on that night because I had convinced her we should be conservative. And they were absolutely enthralled about us. Amazing. When you are who you are, it allows people to be who they are. So now all of a sudden she was very interested. By the way, she called me several times to talk about Kemetic spirituality because she actually wants to actually join the tradition, but she's afraid. This is a Jewish Talmud lady. Anyway, so we could talk about the Ujat, right? We're not going to talk about the Ujat yet because some of you didn't talk about it. Did everyone talk about their symbols?
No.
You guys tried to hide back there. I see Elaine's face.
Okay.
Oh. So you didn't want to squeal. That's what that face was. Yes. Yes. That's the hand that you see, and that's the hand that you use for the sign of the cross. Yes. Yes. By the way, I ask people sometimes why they use those fingers, and in the Christian tradition there are a bunch of answers, and I always say, well, those fingers are important to us as well. And somebody told me that that wasn't true because no one talks about the two fingers. So you gotta get deep to know that symbol. It is one of the most important symbols, but the people who should know it are the practitioners. There are going to be some things that you know that the people that have PhDs don't. So just understand that. So what about, yes, let's talk about that symbol. You're trying to point off on justice.
Yes, I am.
Come on,
It's a valid symbol. And
What symbol is it?
It's a water bottle.
I don't think I've ever heard that one. That was new.
That's interesting, though, the way she's
red. I thought red power, then blood,
Now,
then
you
the
know what?
minted,
You know,
and then no.
Look, I'm thinking about like you're gonna see a selling Tiet water bottle.
Yes.
She's like, my idea, they make it millions of dollars.
Or our
Should make some
stuff.
Tiet water bottles.
That's practical.
We gone.
No, but then we looked at it and said,
use it for your enema.
It could be a
Go
person.
ahead. And then this really looked like a bird on the wings at the side. And I looked at it and I said, it looks like a jet inside here.
Mm-hmm.
And then I looked up and it reminded me of the owl.
Mm-hmm.
So
You remember what the name of it is?
The name of it?
Yeah, the symbol. What's it called?
Tiet.
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 Tiet. Which is usually, sometimes the older translation, I shouldn't say older. Sometimes you'll see the older Talmud translation is Tibet. But they don't translate it that way anymore. Today you'll only see T-Y-E-T, Tiet. Yes. And it is, by the way, listening to people describe what they think it is, they're always uncomfortable. But sometimes what you say brings us into additional knowledge, right? So I want you to all feel comfortable looking at these symbols and trying to come to knowledge with them, come to an understanding. It is related to the Jed. The Jed is a symbol of Asar. The Tiet is a symbol of As, right? It looks like an Ankh with his arms laying down. Some people believe that is because they're referencing what, Anika? The arms laying down? What does it look like to you? The fallopian tubes. Did someone tell you that? No! It's speaking to you. It's speaking to you. That some people think it's fallopian tube. And Siobhan says the menstrual cycle. Now we know that's connected to the menstrual cycle. Why? It's usually depicted in red. We also know that we also see yes. Here's an image of As as the Tiet. Can you see it there? Very nice. I'm seeing hands. I want to
know the point when you talk about when people see it as the Ankh with the arms down. You know what the Ankh represents when the arms are out, it represents children. So it makes perfect sense.
The arms are down. Yes, they're about to
nice.
Wow.
I have never thought of it that way. Moya from the spot, he knows he's all looking at me. He said, Jabari just got something new. I don't be on the tour. He's going to hit me like, he just stole my money. He just took it and laid it on a tour.
Wow.
Yes.
I always thought that. I just never said it.
Powerful.
That's interesting.
Never thought of it that way before. Never thought of it that way before. So it's connected to the children, and if it's a menses, then yes, they would reference the fallopian tubes, and it would be down because that's amazing. That's a really good analysis.
Wow.
That's a really good analysis. It is also a belt buckle. we see priests and priestesses of As, particularly later when it goes into Rome. We see them, well, not just in Rome, but we see always Roman priests of As always have that belt buckle, and we know that it may have been an ancient way to assist with the pains of the menses, to tie that knot in certain ways. Now keep in mind that in ancient Kemetic tradition, the menses is not dirty. If you read the Merkuti text, the oldest spiritual text in the world, it says that As, rub me with the blood of your menses, it will heal. It was considered particularly with regard to us, as a sacred process. Today in the Western world, we are so uncomfortable with it. Anika and I always joke that we're going to create a comedy show and spoof the popular culture. You ever see the commercials for Menzies?
Yeah.
For products? First of all, the products are called sanitary napkins, like you have to clean something.
Yeah.
Second of all, they say it's so absorbent, and they pour some water, and the water can never be red. It's purple, it's blue. Because if it's red, you'd be like, oh my goodness! So we said that we're going to promote like that, and we're going to just pour like marinara sauce all over it. We're like, oh my God. By the way, Kotex came out with a commercial. It said, have a happy period, and the period was red. They had to take the commercial off of television. That's how uncomfortable the Western world is with the natural process of the human body. Have a happy period with a red period. Oh my goodness, it's red as blood. Well, what did you think we were talking about? That's how much problem they have with themselves. And so in the Kemetic tradition, in the ancient African tradition, this was not something that was not sacred. I know that men sometimes complain that their mates are too emotional during that period. We've created this whole thing that they call PMS. Before the menstrual cycle, they're bitchy. You know what I say to brothers that say stuff like that to me? During the menses, women actually become even more spiritual. To the point where they become an antenna for their environment. If your queen is bitchy during her PMS, you should be doing some cleaning in your environment. Because all she's doing is reflecting the world around her in a way that men, we don't understand. We have to go through deep meditation to feel that. Sisters have it, it just comes with them. That is an amazing thing that you have this process that connects you to the celestial bodies, by the way. Connected to the moon. Sisters have been attempting to really be able to use the power of the menses for literally, I'll tell you, at least 15,000 years. Because we know that the first mathematic devices were used to count the menses and the bases of the moon. Which means the first mathematicians and astronomers are probably women. So understand how powerful this is. When you're able to be who you are and be comfortable in who you are, you can do amazing things. I saw 2 hands.
It always amazes me how Muhammad put down the point that says a lot about them. It really tells a lot about them.
That's right.
But I do first when I used to work. My husband was they had been married the whole time that they were married. And we should have that was part of the claim that was part of it. It just made me I just cannot understand. I've spent 20 years with a person.
That's that kind of. Well, also we talked about the language that we use when we're relating to women and behavior. You know, the word hysterical,
which comes from
hysteria.
Which comes from yes, it comes. It's another word. I think it's the hister is a word for the womb. It relates back to the womb. So we have these negative terms.
Lunatic.
Right.
So you go crazy with the moon.
Yes. So we have these really, really negative things that we say about the way that women come into the world. And when you approach the world that way, you actually cannot be sacred. You cannot be African. That's my major argument with some of the people in those traditions. I said, well, where are your women? If your women aren't in a high place, that's anti-African. So anyway, here you're seeing an image of, I've shown you this image before if you're in Kemetic Ascension. This is Mary Magdalene, and the Renaissance painter that painted her with the tiet and the urn. As you see here, she has the urn and the tiet. This is a priestess of As. So what they're actually saying is Mary Magdalene is another version of Ast. We know that already. But the Renaissance painter wanted to say that without saying it obviously. Because we know that Ast's name was Mary. There were the two Mary who were the beloved ladies, and that's why we have the two Marys in the Christian tradition. Really quickly. Yes, that's right. Now let's show you one more thing and then we're going to conclude. We didn't talk about the Ujat, right? No. And obviously it's a symbol that lots of people know, but they're not familiar with what the heck it is. As you see the Ujat, tell me first of all what you know about it. It's the Eye of Heru. People constantly will tell you it's the Eye of Osiris, by the way. You'll hear that in the street. That's the Eye of Osiris, right? But it's better described as the Eye of Heru. Why is it Eye of Heru? So the eye was removed in the battle with Sutek or Sutesh or Set, right? And with his uncle. And so he needs to get another eye. That eye is the eye of wisdom. So he receives the third eye. That's why we call it the third eye, because he had two eyes. One was destroyed. He got another eye. It's the third eye. It's also a fractal. So if you take the different pieces, come on, man, the different pieces of the eye, you'll know that in the Kemetic language, in the Netter, each of the pieces is actually a fraction. What does it add up to? It's a symbol of wisdom, right? 63. If 64 is supposed to be the number that you're adding everything to, you would assume that an eye that has to do with divine wisdom would be 64 over 64, right? It's actually 63 over 64. There are a lot of discussions as to why it doesn't add to 1. A lot of discussions. I had a debate with my priest, my teacher, over the course of about an hour and a half. We love to argue. Bob and I love to argue, right? So he said that the one is there. It's the liquid that lubricates the pupil so it can move. I think that's beautiful away. But I didn't want to say that because I want to argue. And I said, I think you're wrong, Bob. What, you think I'm wrong? So we had a debate. And I said, well, understand that when you have sacred wisdom, it means that you know what you know, but you also know what you don't know. You know that there is something that you cannot know. Because knowledge, once again, is a process. Right? And so there's still, that 63 over 64 is a whole lot. But it's still not everything. And I know that as I study Kemet, I learn something new about Kemet every day. I've learned something new about Kemet every day for the last 30 some odd years. Every day I learn. But the more I learn, you know what helped that I begin to realize? I don't know anything. There's so much more for me to learn. To become a high priest, you have to study for 42 years. Well, there's so much I don't know. Yes, Brother Rico.
It also represents the eye of a lion. It's like very dark around it. And then the eye of a hawk or a falcon.
Looks almost exactly like it. I wish I had the picture of the falcon.
It has that curved punch.
Yes.
And then the eye of a cheetah has like that tip.
Sometimes the falcon has both this bottom piece. Some people believe that that's an optic nerve, and also this other piece. By the way, in many ways, when you do a cross section of the brain, it looks like you see the eye almost exactly, which is very, very interesting. Very, very interesting. One of the reasons why they think it's probably part of the brain also. Notice the notch on this piece here. That notch is absolutely replicated in the brain. So it seems like it may also be an anatomically correct depiction of a particular section of the brain, which means that your ancestors would have had to be doing very, very, very precise dissections to know that. For the whole day, I think.
Brother Corey, so doesn't the different eyes have different meanings? Like the left eye has this and the right eye is supposed to.
It's usually considered the left eye is what eye? Which one? The left eye is usually the moon eye. The right eye is usually the sun eye.
Come on, y'all. Y'all knew TLC, right? Left eye?
Right. You never realized that left eye had her left eye covered. She's called left.
Yes.
Some people have greed for a SAR and protection.
Yes. There's a lot you can do with this. By the way, the story of the eye is in The Lion King and The Matrix. The second Matrix movie, really heavy. They've used this story excessively. Yes. A scar. Yes. Wait, I can't wait to see that one. So yeah, but understand that this is something that there's a lot of divine teachings. Now let me say this to you. We're closing because I've had you here too long. All I want you to understand is that these symbols are symbols that have a deep history. There's a lot to learn about them, but don't be afraid to look at them and attempt to understand what they mean. Because remember, symbols activate a certain part of you that transcends language. It transcends knowing. So that don't be afraid to say, well, I don't know anything, so I can't look at this symbol and try to see what I see. There's nothing wrong with trying to intuit what comes from it. Because I think those people who supposedly have been trained the least actually have the greatest knowing of these symbols.
That's why I show my son.
Listen, the children.
He tells me what they are.
I'm in the museum showing them Os with her hand in front of her face. She's supposed to be crying, and adults are like, she's praying. She's wiping her head. The kid was asleep on his mom's shoulder. Woke up and said, she is crying. Went back to sleep. And they're like, oh yeah, I see that now. He was 3. 3. Hadn't been in school yet. She is crying and went to sleep. So understand that this is something that you should do. That doesn't mean you shouldn't read and find out what your ancestors wrote about it. But understand that these symbols will activate something in your psyche. Watch them. Look at them. Next week when we start, I'm going to show you a symbol of Tutankhamen that has sacred sexuality in it. Okay? Sound good? Homework. You know, you're not going to get out of here without homework. Take a picture of a Kemetic symbol that you find in your environment. Email the picture with the description and explain why you believe the symbol was used. That's your homework. Okay? By the way, you will see them. The Kemetic symbols are everywhere. But you have to have eyes to see and ears to hear. Okay, let's stand for the opening. Who's going to lead us?
Me?
Who said me?
Oh,
come on, folks at home, you should be doing the opening of the way as well. This isn't theater. You're supposed to be doing this. We in position?
okay, left hand forward, right foot forward. Left foot forward, left foot forward, left hand forward. Okay, here we go. Let's breathe in. Nectarok meat.
Nectarok meat.
Nuke meat.
Nuke meat. Nectarok Tuamutep.
Nectarok Tuamutep.
Nuke Tuamutep.
Nuke Tuamutep.
Tuanter.
Tuanter.
Nectarok nuke.
Nectarok nukes.
Nuke nuke.
Nuke nukes. Nectarok geb.
Nectarok geb.
Nuke geb.
Nuke geb. Tuanter.
Nectarok shoe.
Nectarok shoe. Shoe. Nuke shoe.
Nectarok tef nukes. Tef nukes. Nuke tef nukes. Tuanter. Nectarok pau nectaru. Nuke pau nectaru.
Nectarok move nectaru. Nectarok move nectaru. And boo. Luke and boo nectaru.
Nuke and boo nectaru.
Tuanter.
Good job.
Let me say to you, first of all, it is powerful to hear you all do it. Don't be afraid to say, oh, I stumbled a little bit. There's nothing wrong with that. The only way you're going to really perfect it is to do it.
Elaine encouraged me to do it because we were talking about it. We were talking in Texas. So
Wow. Oh, you're talking in Texas?
Yeah, she encouraged me. So I give.
By the way, did you notice that primarily we heard female energy on the feminine and male energy on the male? Continue to do the opening of the way. It will open the way for you. One comment I should have made really quickly is a question. I want to schedule our tour of the Metropolitan Museum. I'd like for it to be the first Saturday of June. I want you to let me know whether that works, including people online. Listen, I know that you live in a far away, but if you want to come, that's why I'm telling you. We can't do the first Saturday? Why?
Well, I'm at Shaughnessy Friday. And I have like 4 things to do that day.
I'd like to do the first Saturday of June. She had a bridal party. She probably went bridal party.
I have 4 meetings that day.
You always have 4 meetings on Saturday.
So why don't you do it Sunday? We don't have Kemetic Ascension on Sunday.
Would it be better if we do it on Sunday, folks? Yes? What day is that?
The 4th.
So, June 4th? Could that work for you all?
What time?
We can figure out the time. It has to be earlier because the museum closed at 5 on Sundays. So I'd like us to meet like at noon if we could. Could you do that? Do you work on Sundays? It's better for you. Good. Yeah, we're going to try Sunday instead of Saturday. And for those of you at home, if you're coming from a distance, we would love to see you. If you can come, we would love for you to come. That's going to be outside of our Sebkhet, obviously, but going to the Metropolitan Museum is going to be an amazing spiritual activity. So that's what we're going to do. Do we have any questions online?
A lot of payments just came in. Thank you, Valencia.
Yes. Shem Hattab, go forth in peace. We're talking about the four. The four. No. There's a lot of this.
Yeah.
I wanted to know more about where you find the natural chart.
One of the pages is something like, I am all the parts of
if you don't find it now, you can check it to me.
Right. And then the other one is it's like I am the
It's in Gardner's ancient Egyptian.
Gardner.
Yeah.
Is it on?
Yeah.
So I'll find the page and scan it and send it to you.
Okay. Garden of Ancient Egyptian.
Yeah. Or Egyptian grammar. That's what it's called. Egyptian grammar. Alan Gardner.
That's right.
Alan.
That's right. Because Amika says that they are
Gardner.
They are solids. So that what happens is languages, as languages change as time passes, those concepts usually die.
Okay.
Thank you.
It's possible that's what we've done.
Shemametep.
Shemametep. So we're moving. We're moving. We are moving.
Oh, Jabari Kwame has something to tell you.
Kwame has a question?
No, he's just dealing with a lot of family issues. 3 of his family members are in hospice.
Oh, no.
Father's only living brother, his uncle has prostate, now his brain, his nephew's in North Carolina, has cancer.
Brother Kwame, if you're still on, we are going to pray with you. We are going to pray for them. We are asking for their divine healing. We say, Kuja Sene, Kuja Sene, Kuja Sene. We're asking for their divine life, for them to have power and healing. So we're praying for Uncle Jocelyn. We also saw earlier that your queen is ailing as well. And so we're asking for her to have, I said Seneba, which in some ways is my cheap way of saying we're asking for her to have great healing in her life. So please understand that we're thinking about you, and hopefully we'll see you again in person very soon. Please send your love to your family members who are ailing. By the way, if there's anything that we can actually do in person, also let us know that as well. We good?
He says Shemametep.
Shemametep, go forth in peace, Brother Kwame.
Just want to say good night to you too.
Oh,
Good
man.
night.
Are you so exhausted from traveling? I know I find myself nodding like,